Hi, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel, Books and Beaches. So today I want to talk about books that I would really like to reread this year. Normally, I have not been a big rereader. I like to read new stuff and I'll have my favorites, but I don't have a tendency to pick them back up again. And the ones that I have on my list today are books that I remember absolutely loving, and they are books that I recommend time and time again to my friends and family and my coworkers. And I would really like to pick them up again to enjoy them myself. Currently, I'm finding myself in a little bit of a reading slump. I am not reading as fast as I normally do. I have a book that I think I can blame for that I just finished, but oh well, that is the nature of reading, and you go kind of through these ebbing and flowing. So I decided to make a list of books that I really think I should pick back up this year and just remind myself why I love them. As I went to pull these, I discovered that I have many of them loaned out right now, which makes sense because they are some of my favorite books that I have ever read, particularly in the last couple years. So you're going to be seeing a lot of images in this one because I don't have these books on hand, even though technically they are part of my physical library. So let's go ahead and get started. The very first book that I think of when it comes to books that I wanted to reread, and probably the number one book that I recommend to most people, is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. I think this is probably my favorite Riley Sager, followed up very, very closely, and this one I probably could add too, would be Home Before Dark. But this one is by far my favorite. This probably is the book that started like my thriller set at a camp addiction, I guess you could say. And I just remember loving this. And I can kind of remember the twist, but I think with a reread, I might see some of those hints and clues that are in here since I already know what's going to happen. So really, really want to pick this one up again, especially because I know that Riley Sager has a new book coming out this summer, like he has the last couple summers. And so I don't necessarily see myself doing like a full reread of Riley Sager, but this one for sure I'll be picking up. Yeah. The next one that I put on my list, I actually don't have because this one I do have it currently loaned out, and that is The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. And I remember loving this one. Boarding school vibes. I know it was two different timelines, very creepy, haunty. And out of all, I think I've read 3 Simone St. James books now. I do believe this one was by far my favorite. I'm not sure who I have it loaned out to right now, but I really, really would like to reread that one this year and just remind myself why it's my favorite. Another one that I actually don't believe I have the physical copy of, but I know I have it on my Kindle because I can picture where I was when I finished it. I am notorious for reading thrillers in the summer. Well, I read thrillers all year round, but I am notorious for reading thrillers when I'm camping, which most people find just crazy. They're like, why would you read a thriller when you're stuck in the woods? But I do. It's like what I like to do in the summer. So this one is Local Woman Missing by Mary Kupika. I say it wrong all the time, but I remember I was reading it on my Kindle right next to the fire and I finished it and I was just like, and I think it was one of my favorite books that I read that summer. And now thinking back, I can't even recall completely what it was all about. I remember bits and pieces of it. But yeah, if I liked it that much and I can distinctly remember where I was when I finished it, it's something that I want to pick up again and remind me what it's about and why I liked it, just like all the rest of these. One I do have, and when I first read this, I read it on my Kindle, but now I have the physical copy because I had to have this special edition, and that is Verity by Colleen Hoover. This is the special edition that Barnes & Noble had that has the exclusive last chapter in it. I haven't read the last chapter, which is why I would like to do a reread of this because I remember just being absolutely floored by this book. And so I want to do a full reread and then read the extra chapter. So if you're not familiar with what Verity is, this woman basically is going to become a ghostwriter for an author who cannot finish out the series that she was writing. And she moves into this woman's house where this woman is. She's ill, but she's still there. And she moves in with her family and starts to read her personal like journal or diary. And so I can't wait to pick this one up again. And I'm looking forward to reading that new chapter. I have tried to not have anybody spoil me for what the chapter entails or their feelings about it, so that I can pick this one up at some point this year. The next one. I know that so many people love Kristen Hannah, and I think when you hear Kristen Hannah, the first thing that probably comes to mind is The Nightingale. And I love The Nightingale. It is sitting back here on my shelves. It's not one that I probably hand out as much just because it's such a long and intense novel. But I think my favorite Kristen Hannah book, and I probably have said this before, is The Great Alone. And this one is based in post-Vietnam. I believe they start in the Pacific Northwest, and this family moves to Alaska to kind of get away from it all, disconnect. And the father is heavily dealing with PTSD, which went probably commonly undiagnosed at the time. And this novel like shocked me. It was thrilling. I remember bawling, and I just would really like to pick it up again. Currently it's out on loan, so I will have to wait to do that until I get my copy back. But obviously I'm in no rush to get to any of these because I have plenty of new things I want to pick up as well. But out of all my Kristen Hannahs, that is one I want to pick up again. Another one that I have loaned out, but from a very popular author, and that is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, I think the focus right now for Taylor Jenkins Reid is on Daisy Jones and the Six because that the movie is coming out, and I do definitely want to see that movie. I loved that audiobook so much, but for me, the reread that I want to do is of 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, like I said, because I remember that one being my favorite. Now, it's been a few years since I've read it, but I swear the entire office that I work in at one of my buildings, everybody's read it quite recently. And so it's one that I just want to pick up and remind myself why I loved that one. I loved the different perspectives of all of the different husbands, and I vaguely remember the connection at the end. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I just want to pick it up and kind of get engrossed in that world again. So, one after that, and it's probably not surprising in the slightest, but I want to relive the like crazy factor, and that is Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. I still can remember reading the last chapter of that book and being like, once again, what? And I have recommended that book to so many people, and I think they felt the same way. I do believe I own two copies of it. I'm pretty sure both of those copies are loaned out to people right now. And I would like to pick up that book and see if I can pick up on things that are happening throughout the book, which, like a lot of thrillers that I think if you would reread them, you might catch some of those things. And so knowing what's going to happen at the end, I want to see if I can pick up on that more. So once I get that one back, that might be one that I pick up and reread. One I would like to reread just because, this book. And I especially want to reread it because I got a new copy of it for Christmas, and that is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I love this book, and my dearest cousin Amanda got me this new copy. This is the new cover for Christmas this year, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And I think I've said numerous times after reading this that everybody needs an Elliot in their life, and I loved how the two different timelines of this book kind of connected and came together, and you know, the young love and meeting again and later in life. I love this story, and I've always meant to reread it, and possibly with the audiobook too, because if I'm not mistaken, I want to say this one might be a Julia Whelan audiobook. I might need to correct myself, but now that I have this beautiful copy, I want to pick this one up. And then the very last book probably comes as no surprise of something that I want to do a reread on, and not that I haven't already done it before, but I really want to do a rereading of Harry Potter. So I actually have not yet done a reread with this edition of the book. So these are the beautiful Mina Lima editions of these Harry Potter books. They are somewhat illustrated, somewhat interactive. I just don't want anything to fall out. But they are absolutely gorgeous. Sorry, that was a terrible, but I don't want to get anything caught, but I would love to do a reread. I have the first two. I just saw that the third one is coming out in October, and that one's purple, and purple is one of my favorite colors. So I would love to get lost in this world again, and I think these editions are a perfect way to do it. And especially, like I said, with that third book coming out, Prisoner of Azkaban is actually my favorite book in the series, so I think it would be a very appropriate time to pick up and reread the first ones before that third one comes out in October. So those are the few books that I could see myself picking up to reread at some point here in 2023. Like I said, I'm not a big rereader, but you never know. So, are there any books that you enjoy rereading? Do you reread frequently? Do you have favorites that you just like to continually pick up? Feel free to leave those in the comments below. As always, if you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.